Welcome to the Football for Kids podcast with me, Darren Rees. In this episode, we're going to be talking about one of the biggest prospects in English football. A lad from Manchester who's doing wonderful things at Chelsea. In this episode, of course, we're going to be speaking about the fantastic Cole Palmer. Before we go any further, a massive thank you goes out to everyone who has entered the Kids versus Adult feature. There's been hundreds of people email in to say that they are keen to be involved. Please do keep your emails flying in, and over the next few days, I'll get back to 10 people at random to get those booked in and recorded. Also, thank you to everyone who's reached out to their schools about me coming in to do a live podcast. I've got around 20 or more schools who have been in touch. So please do keep speaking to your head teachers, as I'm hoping to get to as many schools as I possibly can. Lastly, before we get into your shout-outs and messages, many people in Ireland have asked whether I will be doing some live podcasts in schools in Ireland. And the answer is yes, definitely, 100%. But it will be towards the end of the summer by the time that I get there. I'll let you know when I'm doing assemblies in Ireland closer to the time. Right then, let's do a few of your shout-outs and your messages, shall we? The first one says, "Hi Darren, my name is Siddharth and I'm 6 years old. I love everything to do with football, including your podcast. My favourite team is Arsenal. Please can you do an episode on Martinelli? Thank you, from Siddharth Graham." Well, Siddharth, thank you very much for being patient and waiting for your shout-out, because it was all the way back in May or June, I think, which you sent your shout-out in, so I really appreciate your patience. So a massive shout-out to you and to everybody that you know and everybody that you play football with. It's great to know that you listen to the podcast all the time, and don't you worry, Martinelli is on my very, 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 very long list of episodes which I need to write. And the next one says, "Hi, my name is Alex and I'm 8 years old. I'm from Waterford in Ireland and I love your podcast. I play for Villa FC and I have a dog named Pele. He is 14 years old. What a name for a dog. My favourite team are Liverpool. Please can you do an episode on Jurgen Klopp? Thank you, from Alex O'Sullivan." Well, Alex O'Sullivan, a massive shout out to you. Thank you so much for being a listener of the podcast. I really hope that you enjoy this episode. And what about that? The last episode which I released was on Jurgen Klopp. So I hope that you've had a chance to listen to that and all the other episodes which we've done recently. Right then, let's get into this episode about Cole Palmer. Cole Jermaine Palmer was born in Manchester on the 6th of May 2002. Cole played football from a very young age, and he has fond memories of having a little patch of grass in his garden with a football net. Cole would play there for hours, unintentionally wrecking the grass, which would drive his mum around the bend. Once there was barely any grass left, Cole would move on to the park and play football there. He used to go to the park with his dad, who gave him good tips and advice. He taught Cole how to protect the ball and how to keep hold of it. He would tell Cole that there was no point of him just belting balls at him all the time, because in the real world, he would just get tackled. Years later, from those practices down the park, Cole was grateful for the time, tips and advice which he received from his dad. Cole Palmer was clearly a talented footballer from a young age, and by the under-8s he had joined the Manchester City Youth Academy. Cole remembers being one of the, if not the, smallest player on the pitch at the time, and he always used to say to his dad that he wanted to be bigger and stronger. Cole's dad would tell him, because he wasn't the biggest or the strongest, it would help him develop his skills and make him a more skillful player. Cole's dad wasn't wrong, because what he missed out with due to his height and strength, he made up for with his skills and ability. And eventually, he caught up with everyone else, and it's made him the player that he is today. Cole worked his socks off training in the youth academy, listening to almost every single word the coaches said to him. He listened to the advice, and then, most importantly, he put it into action. His hard work and perseverance pushed him up the ladder quickly, and he was getting closer and closer to getting more involved with the first team. One day, in Manchester, the sound of the ice cream van was heard, and Cole thought to himself, "Ooh, I fancy an ice cream." He started walking towards the van when he got a message saying, "Cole, you're training with the first team tomorrow." Cole thought to himself, "Wow, in that case, I better not have an ice cream." Cole Palmer trained with the first team and did himself unbelievably proud. He showed Pep and his teammates what a talented, hard-working and determined individual he was. Cole just loved to play football, so much that he played in the Premier League against Burnley at the Etihad, and then, once that match finished, he kept his kit on, walked across the bridge at the Etihad to the Manchester Mini Stadium to play for the under-23 side, where he casually scored a hat-trick. Although Cole Palmer was a seriously good player, he just wasn't getting the first team opportunities like he would have liked to. He wanted to be playing every minute of every game, but it just wasn't happening for him. The standard and the experience at City is quite something, so it's tough for anyone to be picked for every game. It's reported that Cole Palmer asked if he could be loaned out for the 2023-2024 season so he could get plenty of game time. Palmer never ended up being loaned out, but after 13 years with City and being with them since a boy, he was sold to Chelsea for around £40 million. Cole joined Chelsea and made his debut for the club at Stamford Bridge when Chelsea played Nottingham Forest. Palmer came on as a sub in the later stages of the game and was showing what a class operator he was on the football pitch. Chelsea could see that they'd bagged themselves a quality player. On the 6th of November 2023, Cole Palmer really made sure that the footballing world knew who he was and how good he was when he played in one of the greatest all-London derbies in years. It was Tottenham versus Chelsea. Cole Palmer scored Chelsea the most magnificent penalty, off the post and straight into the back of the net. And then he assisted the final goal of the game, a match which finished 4-1, and one of the craziest and most exciting Premier League games of football in years. Palmer was recently interviewed about moving down south. He was asked what it's like being in Chelsea in comparison to Manchester up north. He said, "Well, it's warmer, but the traffic's awful." Well, Cole Palmer, as a southerner, I can agree with you on that one. Cole Palmer is only 21 years old, and he's already done some great things for two very big clubs. Not just in the country, but two very big clubs which are known and admired across the world. But something we haven't mentioned yet is Palmer's international career so far. Cole Palmer has represented England since the under-15s and has played for the England under-16s, under-17s and has now played 2 games for the senior international side. The Germany Euro 2024 tournament is just around the corner, and I think it's fair to say there's a pretty good chance that the mighty Cole Palmer will make the squad. I hope that you've enjoyed listening and learning about the story and career of Cole Palmer so far. He's still so young and has so much to achieve and to do. But without doubt, we're going to have to do a part 2 and probably a part 3 in the future. So remember, if you know someone who loves football just as much as you do, then please tell them about Football for Kids. And whether you're playing football soon, watching it on the telly or pitch side, I hope that you enjoy the game. See you next time. Oh, and remember, get your adults to speak to the schools about assemblies. And, if you can, convince them to play you in a game of kids versus adults.